Hi, this is Brad with Copper Creek Cuts, a lawn care company in Northeast Florida. Today we have a landscaping cleanup. This job is one I got from a real estate agent that has this house listed. I've been mowing this house for probably the last 2 or 3 months while the house is on the market. These beds were never in great shape to begin with, but the last month or so of summer before fall hit, they grew a little bit more, so I was asked to try and clean them up as cheaply as possible. So the real estate agent was nice and they added some extra mulch, but they kind of just put it down on top. I guess that was like a cheap stopgap. So I went by and provided an estimate and basically told them that I thought kind of an 80-20 rule. I think I can get the most bang for your buck without mulch if we just put a new line in the landscape bed, which is what you see me doing here with the Echo. This Echo is a PAS or Pro Attachment System. It's an electric power base. They have gas too, but this one is electric, battery powered. And the attachment is basically a big giant claw, a couple inches wide, a couple inches deep, that digs this little trench into the ground and really helps redefine where a landscape bed is if one hasn't been there for a while. But I said if we do that, if we go ahead and weed everything, if we go ahead and turn the mulch that's present, I think that'll look worlds better and will help with the curb appeal, and we might be able to get away without spending hundreds of dollars on mulch as well. So that's what this project is. It's quick, it's cheap, it is easy. Well, I say easy, simple, I guess I should say. Pulling weeds is simple, but it's not easy, right? There's a big difference between those two things. Off camera, my wife is actually scrubbing the whole front foyer. There is a lot of dust and cobwebs and dirt that have gathered just from, months of not being used. So she's actually got a couple different kinds of brushes, some brooms, she has some sponges, a water bucket, and so she's scrubbing that whole thing down. There'll be before and after pictures of that at the end, but I was really happy to have her helping as well. There's a very small landscape bed on the left side of the house, and she took care of weeding that thing for me, so I was very happy to have her help on this one. As you can see, there was just a lot of handwork on this job. It wasn't anything fancy. It was pulling the grass, the St. Augustine grass. It was pulling the weeds that had creeped into the bed, and trimmed up the crepe myrtle a little bit. Some of the shrubs, as we get closer to the house, were a little bit gangly, so I trimmed those back some. Just a straightforward cleanup. I don't normally fill my schedule with this type of work, not that I get a huge demand for it, but generally in the spring and summer, it's just one of those things where I can make more money mowing, and it's easier. Sitting on a mower or edging or string trimming, to me, is physically easier than this, being on your hands and knees and accidentally kneeling down into ant piles and getting them all biting your hands up and everything and trying to yank out every single little tiny weed with gloved hands. I would just prefer lawn care work over this type of landscape maintenance work. So it's not something I normally do. But even though I'm in Florida, we have from about November till February where things slow down tremendously. And pretty much all of my weekly and bi-weekly yards, they can get away with getting mowed just once a month. So I'm really only working a few days a month now, and which I'm okay with. I enjoy the break, the extra time with the family. But when somebody calls with something like this, I kind of chomp at the bit and say, oh yeah, I'll definitely do that. Even though normally I probably would have passed on it if it were the peak of summer or spring rush or something like that, just because I would have been busy otherwise. As far as the economics of this job, I had my wife helping me out, so we kind of doubled the man hours on the job. The benefit of somebody who works with you that is your spouse is you don't necessarily have the expenses that go with all those man hours, right? So if I had 2 employees I sent to this job, my profit would have been worlds lower, my expenses would have been worlds higher. If you work for yourself, you decide how much of your money you're going to keep for yourself versus going back into the business, and it's a little weird to get a handle on when you first get started. But the fact that it was just my wife and I working meant there wasn't any real expenses on this job aside from the fuel that we used to get there. Oh, and I will say our kids had to come with us, so we did idle the truck for 2 hours, which probably in terms of wear and tear and fuel, I don't know, we might have broke even if you factor that in. No, I'm just kidding. It was still a good day, And I didn't make as much as I would have if I was just mowing by myself. But again, it's one of those things where we had nothing scheduled, so it was either that or sit home eating bonbons, and I might as well have gotten out and made some money. So I'm glad I did. But yeah, that's the job. Pretty simple, straightforward. Here's your before and afters, and if you've got any questions, let me know. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.